Thank you. Thanks so much for coming out tonight on this lovely Finnish day. Honestly, I haven't been here in 22 years, and I thought if I didn't come in the summer, there would be 12 feet of snow, and I would be sleeping in an igloo. So as you can see, I'm pleasantly surprised. I've been making these films for about 10 years now, and the beauty of instrumental music is when you make a film, you can make it about anything that you want to. So aside from the aliens you just saw, I'm going to take you to India. And I went to India a couple times. Wouldn't recommend it. It was, wow. I tell you what, when you get home, you really appreciate your own toilet. It's alive. I always come in running here with a pile of sweat. You can't believe it. Every time I try to add something else and get more and more fancy pants, it gets more and more complicated. And I'm just clicking. I have about 5 windows up here. Oh, wouldn't it be a good idea to stream to everything possible? Everything possible, even platforms that I have never been to. So now I gotta just move some windows and see if I can possibly figure out how to find the chat. My ultimate goal today was a complete failure, trying to integrate the chats. Oh shit, you know what? Don't say shit. I was supposed to do Instagram too. What an idiot. Anybody want to be my, create live, go. Anybody want to be my manager? Because I just fired me. I totally just fired me. Okay, Instagram crackers. I gotta set that up. There's not enough tripods in the world to make my life work. So, all right. Okay, what window, I wonder, has, God, I got 2 chat windows that don't even work. You know, I was on the tech chat this morning talking to a robot. Uh-oh, I just did something really bad. I see myself there, so I know that's happening. Ah, son of a bitch. Okay, I know if I get one window and it's not that window, I might have disappeared for half y'all. I have no idea, and I probably won't know for another hour. But I'm doing what the newscasters do, which is to motor mouth and talk nonstop. And I always thought that the worst thing that you could possibly do. So Instagram's, I'm over on Facebook if you want to chat. There's just too much shit going on. The worst thing would be to be married to a newscaster because you couldn't talk, because their whole thing is to not ever have gaps, and they get conditioned like that where they just keep motor mouthing, and is what it is. You get what you get, baby. So I'm not seeing any questions at this point. Thank you, Jesus. I clicked on something that made sense. Gary Froge, welcome to my world of hell. God. Whoo, boy. You know, it all sounds so manageable on Wednesday, and then when next Tuesday rolls around, it can be kind of hellish. From Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Our president just blocked you from coming to our country. You're welcome. You know, it used to be really difficult to get to Brazil. I have a good story to start with for Brazil. I was supposed to do a festival. It starts with G in the Northeast several years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. And trying to get the processing so I could get there was a slice of hell, truly a slice of hell. I filled out the papers, and the Brazilians have to fill out their papers. And by the time I got my papers to accept me to come down, it was too late. I had like 2 weeks. And I looked online at the processing offices, and they go 45-day minimum. I go, well, that's out the window. But my buddy that wanted me there, and also John Macaluso, a wonderful drummer, came down there and played with me. They have their ways. It was awesome. It was totally like mafia, where I had to fly down to San Francisco and go to the processing office on a day that they weren't processing and meet like Guido at the special meeting time. So I flew in, took an Uber, got there, met with the person, somebody paid somebody under the table, and voila, I had a visa to get down there. But it was super stressful. There's a lot of countries that are so stressful. It's like, oh God, you really want me to go? But I will say that the last time I went, when I played with Rodrigo Teaser, it was a piece of cake. Getting there, the flight was canceled getting back, but getting there was super easy because all the laws had changed. And the previous trip, why it was so difficult is apparently we Americans made it ridiculously difficult for Brazilians to get in. So in kind, they did a number on us. Don't you love governments? They're super overrated. But if we ruled ourselves, I suppose, I'm not going to even go there. Don't even go down that rabbit hole. Christopher, welcome from Bavaria. Oh, no Oktoberfest this year. Bavaria won't be the same. You're just going to have to drink gallons and gallons of beer on your own. Dana, welcome. Well, I'm glad at least my microphone's working. You know, last time I was setting things up and scrambling and clicking things and just spaced on, of course, I have a live mic. But this time I got smart. It happens every once in a while that I do something smart. So last week I started with the killer bees, the murder bees. And I had just bees and nasty sounds and bees, murder hornets, killing bees, starting my whole live. I thought that was a good idea when I woke up, but it wasn't. Some people didn't like that at all. So instead, this time I thought, okay, I'm just gonna grab some footage from a show I did in Finland with wonderful guitarist Erja Lyytinen from Finland. And I met her in Germany at Schorndorf a couple years ago. We did a multi-day workshop, maybe 4 days. It was really intense, really long hours, great class, maybe 20 people each. And at night, two of us teachers would play. And it was so cool. It's such a wonderful setting to discover new talent. Because, you know, with the ADD thing, I could see the exact same performance on YouTube, and, you know, my brain's going, oh, what's on Facebook? What's on Instagram? And my attention span isn't that great. You know, especially coming from the sound of a laptop. And I hope that the music that you heard before while you were waiting, you had your incredible $10,000 sound system. I know you didn't, for the most part. But yeah, so I decided to do that. And then I thought, man, let me just put up a screen first. Instead of scrambling at the last minute to, is this Facebook page live? Is this live? Is YouTube live? I have no idea if I destroyed one of them while I was clicking a minute ago. But at least I know Instagram's live. There's a whole lot of people that have adopted the last name Jackson. Pretty sure that's not your last name. So, yeah, what do you want to know? You know, this is typical newscaster, right? What do you want to know? You know, let's talk about me now. I'm pretty excited. I got an invitation to see my hairdresser. And it's kind of funny. It's been 3 months since I've seen my hairdresser. And I'm kind of thinking, you know, I might just keep it this way with 3 colors going on. I might put the hairspray back in the 80s, just leave the hairspray to the 80s. I don't know. What do you think? I need help deciding. I think I'm going to move this Instagram picture to another level. I have actually 4 levels of things happening right now. It's absurd. I have a table, then I have my music stand, then I have a box that one laptop is on, and then I have a tripod with another camera. I could go pro. I could hire out my living room for shows. Bavaria. Oh, I'm way behind. I thought I was at the bottom of the deal. Sorry. Yeah, good to see you. Back. Did not expect imagery as well. You know, baby steps, baby. Every week I hope to improve something, but sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. Just like when I was in Ireland. Roberta, greetings, ciao. You know, I do have Irish in my heritage. And whiskey's a thing, if you didn't know that. I remember being in Dublin. It was the funniest / saddest thing in the world. There was guys so drunk walking way ahead of me that he literally was walking 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. he was making progress, but it was slow going. Can you play your tunes over the newscast talking? My head will implode if I do one more tech thing right now. Ain't gonna happen. You know, I thought at the last minute when I started this with just a graphic that said I'll be with you at noon, and then it went to the live playing, well, the live not playing, the playing not live. Next time I will add an audio track to the still, but you know, it's kind of irritating. I see a lot of tutorials where they have music in the background, and it irritates the crap out of me, especially if I don't like the music. It's like the infomercials, they all have gone to ukulele now, and it's like, God. I click the speaker to see if there's actually any info, and it's just bad music. So I'll pass on that. Vincenzo, I can count on you from Italia. Mi amore. I do need a good roadie. You know what? I originally was going to call my dog Bambi Roadie. I thought that was the greatest thing because she was going to be going in the RV on tour with me when I did my first multimedia show. And the breeder hated the name. Why did I care? But she did look like especially when she was a puppy with the big ears, she did look like a deer. So she's Bambi. Is your guitar instruction video still available? It sure is. Truefire.com. I have 2 courses. I have one on, it's called Rock Soloing Sauce. Obviously, I haven't seen it in a while. I recorded about 6-7 years ago. So one's on soloing skills, and the other one is on rhythm skills. And then I have a third one that's on intervallic playing. And I'm not going to tell you too much, but I do have something pretty exciting to announce that's going to be online this summer, joined with a few other guitar ladies. That's all I can say right now. Eddie Garcia, hello, sir. Eddie is one of the dancers with Michael Jackson. Great guy. I still remember the Godzilla movies you were creating with your video camera. I'm sure I have video of you showing your video of your Godzilla doll. I also made videos where I bought a couple Michael Jackson dolls back in the day, and I would film them against all these iconic backdrops, like Michael Jackson at the Eiffel Tower, and at where the Pope speaks in Rome, Michael Jackson in Rome about to give a speech. I gotta get back in those old films. Next pandemic, I'll have time. Greets from Thomas Singuli. Singer. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Guli Rock. I did a tour with Thomas Blug and Guli, his band in Germany. That was a hoot. It was really loud, wasn't it? I remember Thomas had his speaker facing your ear one night, and you were, help me. It's like the hairs in your ears are going, help me. Yeah, Vincenzo is really impressed with you, Eddie, if you're still here. Vincenzo does a Michael Jackson tribute in Italy. See, I know famous people, Vincenzo. That was worth checking in right there, wasn't it? Don't let the bees ruin your fingertips. Yeah, well, my bee days are over. You know, it's amazing how many teasers I put out there. Yes, that is my father on the wall, playing piano after he was retired. And that's his guitar too, the L4. God, see, focus. When I read one text, my brain goes completely out the window. Was it something about the Jackson tribute? I don't know. Allison, you would know because you're pretty and you think my hair is cool. So I think I'll leave it. You know, I used to be hellified when I saw my roots popping out, but I'm kind of digging it now. Now that Billie Eilish has, you know, the green thing, then going into her normal hair color. I think I just might retire that hairspray and leave it in the 80s. In 3, well, you know what? It's a hell of a lot cheaper if I do it that way. So I normally go in every 5-6 weeks, and now I could do a couple months. Yeah, put that money towards dog food. Vincenzo, yeah, Eddie Garcia is here. Steve Squirt. Geez, your name is not that easy, sir. You might want to change it for me. Steve Swirsky is a filmmaker out of LA, and he's making a film on female guitar players. He's got Orianthi and I think Joan Jett and a whole bunch of us bitches. You got to put that out, sir. It's been a while. While we're young, while we still got our own teeth. You want to hear Flight of the Bumblebee live? Dude, I used to play that live. I used to start every show with it. I would start my clinics with it. And then I came to the realization that I really don't need to terrorize myself like that. it's it's really difficult, and I kind of retired that with my hairspray. I used to do that with giant steps too. I started a lot of shows with giant steps, and this is oh, I can't even play it that fast anymore. It's just brutal. I worked out this tapping solo for giant steps that John Coltrane changes. That's on. You could get that on my Above, Below, and Beyond CD. Speaking of music, I usually talk about everything under the sun. Now I'm back to music. I just did a co-release with Roman. He's changing his last name, I know, because nobody can pronounce it. He's changing it to Miros from Moscow. Miroshnichenko. So it's a cool tune. I love the melody, and he's a bruising player. Man, he can play circles around me. But we did some solo trades. It's on Bandcamp, and it's called Iso Boogie, like isolation. And that was one of the things I thought of today, that I would play a little bit of it for you, but I had my hands full with all this other stuff. So I'll do that next week. But if you go down my feed, in fact, I might put it up again today. He did kind of a cool film teaser where you got some of the back and forth of us playing back and forth together, just as a teaser to bring you over to Bandcamp. Because, you know, everybody's used to getting music for free, and now musicians are not making money, so, you know, tip jar. And Bandcamp, it's $1.50. What else would you do with your $1.50? You'd spend it on Starbucks. You know you would, but you're at home. So click away. I need to try Poitin. It's Irish potato whiskey. You know, I can't really handle whiskey. I feel like I'm drinking gasoline. It's a little rough. I know I'm not a connoisseur. I'm sure there's a lot of different kinds. I can handle a really high-end tequila, but I'm mostly a wine drinker. But the whiskey, sometimes I'll do a shot and it just makes me want to puke. That's not a good result. The comment replaying over news was in reply to what you said earlier. They talk with no breaks. Yeah, it's motor mouthing. I could work for CNN, talking nonstop. I see. It's actually really interesting when you think about that, and you look at the morning shows that have 3 or 4 people, and they all want to talk. And it's a real skill to get what you want to say out without stepping on other people, and they don't always succeed. Roman is in the house. Mr. Putin says hello. You know what? I'm going to show you this thing that Roman bought me. 2 secs. Don't go away. Move. Move, dogs. Move, move, move. For people that haven't seen this before, it's hilarious. We went into a convenience store after a show one night on tour, and I was busting up. He bought me this. This was in a convenience store. A scarf with Putin's face on it. Is that ridiculous? Ridiculously funny, and I love it, and that's what I spend my money on, is jokes. I have a Beavis and Butthead TV remote kind of thing where you put it on top of the TV, and every time you click on the remote, it says, it goes through a variety of 6 or 8 different things. Fart knocker. Greetings from St. Louis. Casey Adams, how are you, sir? Mr. Drummer Man. I bet you're dying to get out and play. Actually, you know what? I have a show. Who knew? I have a show. I don't think it's 100% confirmed, but I was supposed to do a local show in Canby, do my multimedia show like you saw if you came in early to the feed. And I was supposed to play it at this lovely church, maybe 45 minutes away from me. And of course, everything was canceled. But now they're saying they can have a maximum amount of people gathering is 25, which the whole thing seems crazy to me. If you got 10 people or 25 people or 50 or 500, if there's a virus, it's going to make the rounds. But anyway, that's the rules. So I think the church normally held 200 or 300, and they want it to keep going on. It's going to be 25 people. They're going to have to double the price, and they're offering food with that. But 25 people outdoors in a tent, kind of scattered around. It's going to be a weird vibe to play through, play to, but you know, it's great. Just it's going to be at the end of July or middle of July, and it'll scare me into keeping my chops up. Actually, I will keep my chops up. I just got a gig to play 20 songs, play on 20 songs for a drummer friend of mine, Larry London. He's doing some demos to show his different styles. And there's some really great stuff. Some of it's like Rush, some of it's like Cirque du Soleil, pretty exotic stuff. Oh, that's 2 votes on the hair. Keep the hair the same. The only problem is I have to take the lighting everywhere with me. My sister bought me this great tripod that's got a cell phone holder and 3 different temperatures of light, and you can make them lighter or darker. So I'm just going to have to walk around like this for the rest of my life with the selfie. It's a tripod that collapses into a selfie stick. The people out there innovating. Yeah, Billie Eilish, why not? You know, I did this thing on the Bad Tour. The rap group, the little kids, Criss Cross opened for us a lot on the Michael Jackson tour, and one of them had these slices in his eyebrow. So it was like hair, skin. And so I took that on, and then I did this TV show in Japan, in Tokyo, I think. And the announcer guy, the MC, was kind of a comedian, and they didn't know anything about Criss Cross. And he's just looking at me going, "What's that? What'd you do to yourself?" So note to self, make sure that everybody knows who you're copying. Like Billie Eilish, yeah. I don't think I could do the green thing. I don't think I'd do well in Soylent Green. Okay, Jenny Lee, Rock Sauce Rhythm is what it's called. One of my courses. I can find it online, TrueFire, or on YouTube. YouTube, I think it's just some samples so you can get an idea of what it's about before you jump in and purchase. But TrueFire.com has recently merged with JamPlay. So it's like 95% of all the subscribers to online lessons go to one or the other. So it's a super powerhouse right now. And oh man, there's so much to learn. It's overwhelming. Robin Ford has some wonderful courses, a lot of courses on there. Rhythm comping, just that alone would be wonderful. And I don't remember the guy's name, but there's a jazz player from New York that is of East Indian descent that put out a course on integrating sitar-like style into guitar. And I think that's the most fascinating thing ever, because I love that people like Matias Asado, and Laurie Basilio also, both from Brazil, have this style where it's a very physical move where they'll do these slides that are multi-slides, like that's what it's like, just like that. Sounds like a cat in heat. Speaking of that, god damn it, my cat, I'm so happy because I created this ramp that goes out my bedroom window so the cat can go out there about, I don't know, 12 feet. And then there's a spiral staircase that goes up to a platform, and it's all enclosed so he can't get out and bring rats back to my bed. And he stopped using it last summer, and I thought, what a drag. I mean, it's kind of a work of art, this just giant thing with copper piping coming out the sides and netting around the sides. I should do a show and tell next week because I do have footage of all that stuff. And I thought, he's too old, he's arthritic, but he went up there last night and slept all night. And I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the other cats in the neighborhood had gathered, and they were making a racket. I wish I had a translator to know what they were saying. It kind of sounded like what cats do before they fight, but they weren't anywhere near each other. There was one on a fence here, one on a fence there, and then my cat up in the tree, you can't get me. So it was actually really annoying. So I got out of bed and shooed the other cats off and got my cat in, because it kind of pisses me off when the animals wake me up too early. Can't have that. Joe, you still buy music. Bless you. You're the one. Yes to tips. Yeah, I do have a tip jar, y'all, and I made it. I hope I did it right. Yeah, I have the short. Instead of having to copy my whole email, it is not a clickable link. That's next week's tutorial. But I made the shortened PayPal dealio you can put in a URL. If you like my stories, speaking of my stories, y'all, that's what I was saying, and I brain farted about 10 minutes ago. I was talking about how I put out a teaser to say what's, for people that don't know, on my YouTube channel, I have 2 new playlists. One is called The Riff Kitchen, where I put guitar riffs up there, and I'm really going to expand that to do some other things. In fact, I'm teaching a student now the solo to North Carolina. That's a song that Robin Ford put out that is one of my favorite solos. Really sweet and simple. So I'm going to be breaking down that kind of stuff and expanding from just putting up riffs. But another playlist is storytelling, and it's called "Okay, So This One Time, Okay," kind of like how Valley Girls talk in LA. And I put up episode 8 yesterday, and I had a teaser. This is what's going to be in the episode. I'm starting to go through my scrapbooks of Michael Jackson and Jeff Beck and other tours back in the day, and just putting up half a dozen photos and telling you what was going on then. And I think I got 300 or 400 hits on Instagram and a bunch of hits on Facebook. Y'all ain't going over. You're not going over to YouTube to actually see the stories. What do I gotta do? What's a girl gotta do to get you to go to YouTube? See, I am about 2,200 viewing hours away from being able to monetize. And there's some people making a great living off of YouTube, but it's gonna take some time unless y'all share and jump on over. Your book, Two Hand Rock, had a great impact on me during my teenage years. Thanks. That was a labor of love, man. I was so into tapping at that time, and boy, I tell you what, the audio doesn't hold up. That was the cheesiest drum programming, and I didn't even do it myself. I had a friend do it because I didn't even know how to do it back then. It's like, you hear it played. If anybody wants that book, it's not available now, but I know people that know people that know people. And if you email me, we can hook you up. Could you set up a Zoom show? I'd like to buy a ticket. James, Zoom sounds like crap. It is the worst music platform ever. But I am, and I have been for the last 2 months, gearing up to do some shows on stageit.com. It's really risky, and it's you don't have to buy a ticket to get in, but tipping is very encouraged. And my buddy Andy Timmons has been doing a lot of shows over there. And the first show I saw of his, I brought it up on my phone when I was out walking my dogs, and it sounded so good. It was amazing. The picture wasn't that great. I mean, it was good enough. It's not horrible like an old VHS recorded 50 times or anything. But it takes a lot of bandwidth to put video through the internet and audio, and to have them in sync is a whole nother piece of deal. So I'm doing one thing at a time. It's just amazing I'm doing these chats. I used to see Greg Koch, Koch, that's really how you pronounce it. I didn't birth him. Wonderful player. He does a lot of Facebook Lives. And I would see him do that. And in fact, the first time I saw him, I was checking my phone. I was in bed. And he looks at the phone and he goes, "Jennifer Batten's in here." And I'm thinking, oh God, can he see me? I'm in bed. This whole internet thing can be kind of freaky from time to time. But I never had the desire to do it. Like, I could do live, but why? But now I'm kind of into it. Now with this lockdown, it's kind of cool to have a whole community of people around the world and get in touch with friends I haven't seen before. Larry London's here. The 20 songs. Yeah, you're a good writer. Who knew? Drummers aren't supposed to be able to do that. What happened? What water were you drinking, dude? I said that to Ricky Lawson when I first joined the Jackson tour, the Bad tour. He was the musical director for a while before Greg Fillinganes got in. Greg was doing other things and was probably at least a week late. And I made some comment to Ricky, like, you're a drummer. Why are you a musical director? And because he's talented, extremely was. Rest in peace. What happened to the Criss Cross kids? Well, they grew up and hopefully they got some therapy because they did not seem like happy kids. Man, I would see them backstage and they were grumpy for their age. I don't know if it was the persona they were trying to make as tough guys or what the deal was. Any possible local gigs with Full Steam coming up in the future? Not in the near future, no. I mean, the most people you can get to a gig is 25, and it's, well, I'll test it out in July with my solo show, but it's tough. The whole social distancing thing, you can't play on a small stage and stay, 6 feet apart. Everybody's saying 6 feet apart, but I saw this thing on TV. It might have been on 60 Minutes where they were showing with some kind of laser camera in the dark when somebody coughed or somebody sneezed, and they showed that stuff going out 12 feet. So I don't know about the 6 feet thing. Yeah, Gary, you will be the first to know because you're on Facebook every day. Okay, Roman just put a link to the teaser of our song. I say our. I just did solos on it, and he wrote it. So feel free to click on it or copy the link. Roman Miroshnichenko. I feel like that's how I should say it. You can't just say Miroshnichenko. Miroshnichenko. It must be commanding. I will put it up on my Facebook pages afterwards also. But it's a cool track. Any of you guitar nerds out there, step on in and give it a listen. I haven't done anything like that for quite a while. I do sessions for people, a lot of vocal tunes especially, but this is the first instrumental I've done in quite a while. Vincenzo, to get people on YouTube, I think you should put only little previews on Facebook and Instagram with the YouTube link, full video here. So I'm guessing that you saw the preview that I already did, which was about 2 minutes, and maybe it should only be 20 seconds. I know the short attention span is just crazy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let me know if that's what you mean. I thought about that, but I had already put this is what this episode is about. That's actually on the full video. That's about 13, 14 minutes. And the last episode, y'all, if you're not hip, I start out with pulling out pictures of my scrapbook, behind the scenes, Michael Jackson, some stuff when we were 30 years younger. And then it goes into some cool footage that's in the DVD that goes with my CD called Whatever, of behind the scenes of the Flight of the Bumblebee shoot. And that's 2 parts of Flight of the Bumblebee. I think a cat hair is climbing onto my face. So episode 6 was behind the scenes at Flight of the Bumblebee shoot. And then I had some more footage and some cool stories that the guy that covered me with bees, who is known as the Bee Wrangler, he was telling stories about how he played on a late night show, and he had a county fair show before that in the daytime. And he had this compressor to get the bees off him, and the compressor went by his mouth and popped open his mouth like an envelope, and a bee got in there and stung him, and then he had to go play clarinet on the Johnny Carson show. So fun stories. And then it goes into Nicholas Slanemsky, who is a Russian musicologist, fantastic human being, lived to be 102 years old. I met him when he was 97, and you'll see the behind the scenes with that. I got him to do the conducting in the Flight of the Bumblebee video. He's written that's gonna knock it out. Live video paused. Instagram went to hell because somebody called me. I never get phone calls except when I'm doing something like this. It's so poopy. Oh shit, I hit something else. Damn it. Hopefully you can still see me. I don't know. This tapping thing you kids do. I don't know. Nicholas, so what I didn't tell you, and I'm going to have to find this in scrapbooks. So I met him when he was 97 years old. And there was a woman that worked with him that was helping him write books. When he was 97, he was still writing books. And she kept telling me these stories about him. He's such a hoot, and he does this and that. And he's got a cat called Grody to the Max because he was friends with the Zappas. And, you know, after about the third time she started telling me stories about him, I thought, you know what? I better move on it because he's 97 years old. I don't know how much more time I got. So I met him, fell in love, and for his 98th birthday, I got him a stripper. and at the memorial, several years later, his doctor, who said he had, in fact, he talked about this at the memorial, he had his medical record was like this. Just, you know, that's a lot of years of sneezing and all kinds of things could go wrong. He said that it was pretty risky getting him a stripper at 98 years old, but he loved it. And then he could brag to all his friends. Christian, Willie Parsons, I talked to your was it your nephew on Facebook? You know, there's so many places that messages come in now. I don't know where it was. Was it text? Was it Facebook? Was it that page? Was it that page? Was it Instagram? I have no idea. Do you know what and why Jeff Beck is putting this white powder on his right hand? Yeah, it's talcum powder. And it helps with the sweat. It absorbs the sweat. To me, it seems like it would get really caked on, but he's used it for years. And a cool thing happened when I joined his band. One night, he had put that talcum powder on his hands, and there was a little chunk of it that had landed on the lower horn of his guitar, and he held it up and blew it off, like, and in the lights, it just looked like fairy dust. It looked so cool. And I said, Jeff, you got to do that every single night. And I think he did after that, because it was a cool moment. It's like when a drummer has water. I mean, it's not good for the drum kit, but there was a drummer that worked with Johnny Rotten of the Public Image band. They used to put beer or water or something on his drums, and then when he's hitting it, all the water flies up, and it just looks cool. Maybe best for a video and not for real life. Yeah, the Flight of the Bumblebee conductor. I think he had such a good time. Nicholas, we put him in a tux, which he probably hadn't worn in 40 years. And in fact, in that, he said he conducted the Flight of the Bumblebee about 60 years before we shot that. And it doesn't matter how old you get, you have anxiety dreams about performing, right? He talks about having dreams of conducting it. He didn't even have a baton. We had to make one up for him because his was in the Library of Congress, probably stuck it in there in his 70s. Yeah, got Nicholas a stripper. And I had never ordered a stripper before. You know, it's just something that came in my mind. This would be really fun. And so this was before the internet. I dialed up some stripper provider. You couldn't go to stripper.com. And they asked if I wanted her to get down to her underwear or all the way. And I go, wow, I didn't even think in advance of that choice. I go, I think underwear is plenty for a 98-year-old man. And the pictures are wonderful. I will show them. White powder magic, yeah. It's kind of a cool thing. I've never seen anybody else do that. Love to see you do a show with Jeff Wayne and War of the Worlds. I am not hip to that. You have to hit me up to what that's about. Oh man, you know, I was doing so much clicking around. I had everything set, both Facebook pages, and they have something that essentially means recurring stream key, which means it's going to be the same one every time, but it never works. I always have to get a new one every time. And when I had YouTube Live, I go, okay, I see the image is there, streaming is happening, and then I wanted to be able to, if anybody's on YouTube right now, I'm looking at the texts on Facebook because I have not learned how to integrate them yet. And I thought, on YouTube, I could click this thing that says manage. I bet that'll show me how. And I clicked it and everything imploded and went away. it was like, story of my life. Tech can be really great and it can really, really suck. Hey, you know what? I wanted to ask y'all. I've been doing this for a couple months now, I think, and I'm just curious as to what people want to see, what you would like out of these sessions, because I'd like to keep them up. I did a really fun one yesterday with Pete Thorne. If you're not hip with him, he has a 11 o'clock every Sunday morning. He gets a big cup of coffee and just starts chatting gear. It's a real nerd channel where he talks about pedals and amps and guitars, and he's extremely knowledgeable. And as one of the guys posted on my posting that it was going to happen, he said Pete Thorne could plug into a potato and sound better than the rest of us. And he's really spent a lot of time digging down into the forensics of sound, and I could learn a lot as well, and I do check in with him. I have never played together with Michael Landau. No, he's a monster player. I mean, he's a king of tone for sure. He's the only guy, until Pete's demo of one of the Van Halen pedals, that could actually get a Van Halen tone. And I'd be very curious to know what Michael uses for sound now, because I saw him live in a little club in LA probably 20 years ago, and he had about 3 different giant amps. And he's one of those guys that does a ton of sessions, so he had cartage. So when you don't actually have to lift all that crap yourself, it really makes a difference. I'm always amazing and witty. Well, dude, that was worth me stressing all morning about getting this live. I try to be witty. Man, you know, a bunch of people have asked me to do podcasts, and at first I thought, I wouldn't mind doing one, but it's got to be a subject that really hasn't been covered, because there's 1,000 podcasts out there where musicians are talking to other musicians, asking about, when did you first learn to play drums? And what was this and what was that? And some road stories and stuff, but I haven't heard any that really go deep, deep, deep into the creative process. And that's a podcast I would like to listen to. Actually, no, I was, this is a sidestep, but I just started listening to a podcast this morning that's put on by CD Baby called DIY Musician. And they have several episodes where they're talking about musicians streaming, especially during lockdown, and what they think is good and what they think isn't good. That was kind of interesting. But the thing with my brain is I've been pretty lucky so far in that words come out. And for the most part, I can make complete sentences, but that doesn't always happen. My mind is not always in gear. And so to do a podcast, I would just hate to have a guest on and be struggling to get words and they're not there. So I'll stick with the live stream for now. Podcast, there's not enough time in the world even to set that up. It's like Tuesday mornings, I wake up and I go, I got to do a live. And it's like getting ready for a show. It really is, except minus the hairspray, which might be history anyway. My background, I got to back up to. Thanks. The background is a corner of my living room, and I've got, you know, I would like to one of these times take a second camera, which wouldn't be that hard to do. I just need a long cable, and I'd like to show you around. I've got some of my steampunk art back there, but you can't really see it in detail just yet. And I'd love to show you around. I think I did this on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, where I tell you, I got so into steampunk art, I was going into the thrift shops all the time. It's like, what treasures are in there? What could I find that I could turn into something else and make it a fantasy airship? And after doing that for 6 months, my living room looked like a junk shop. It was just pathetic. And so I went in, of course, I kept going. I went into a Goodwill or something, and I told myself, now, if I buy something, it's got to be small. I just can't have these big pieces of things that are taking up all the space in my house. And so I walked out with this 4-foot candle holder. I, I couldn't pass it up. It had what is it? It's got two platforms here in the middle and three. It's supposed to be a candle holder, but I turned it into this spaceship, this otherworldly place. And I worked on it for 5 years, and I got little people in there that are about this big on this platform with a telescope looking out into the world. And everywhere you go, there's just little worlds and a plasma ball. And I found this guy in England that was selling his handmade pilot bust that is made for those radio-controlled planes. And they look so cool. They look like World War II pilots. It looks so steampunk with the helmets and the straps coming down and the leather jackets. And each one of them has a very distinct character in the face. And I think he stopped making them. I can't find them anymore, but if I could, I'd probably buy 100 because those are the primo characters of my work. And this thing kept building. You know, it started out 4 feet tall, and then I thought, if I put these poles, I found these copper poles at a thrift shop. They go up another 3 feet. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing, and now I have this big steampunk lamp on the top. It's absurd, but I love it. Okay, I went into a whole nother world there. Oh, thanks, Allison. Yeah, the podcast being a lot of work. I got my hands full right now, really full, and I'm planning this special thing I'll announce in a couple weeks. It's gonna take. Besides doing Larry's tunes, which will, I'm looking forward to that. It'll focus me to work on the guitar at least a couple hours a night, recording that stuff. Artwork frames me. Well, I bet you have a photographer's eye. You must have some photography skills. With Kevin Rankin, yeah, Kevin Rankin's chat couple weeks back. I'm so glad he's doing that. You know, now that's a guy. Kevin Rankin is a drummer from Portland that's currently, except for lockdown, playing with Flock of Seagulls. And he's the first drummer I played with when I moved to Portland. And he's such a friendly guy. Just one of the best people ever. He has a huge heart, very helpful to others. And he started on a lark, he started doing a podcast or a Facebook Live, and I just checked in for 15 minutes. I go, man, you were born to do this, and a lot of people told him that, so he's keeping it up. He's probably done 20 already. I think it could be a thing for him. He's always done the lives out on the road, but this is a whole nother thing when he brings in other players. Brianna Cash, welcome. All my art guitars and trinkets. Yeah, I do have a lot of trinkets. You know, it's when you travel around the world and you see something that's super badass and you know you're not ever going to see it again, I'll pick it up if it's not too big. Every once in a while, like I remember in Hawaii one time, I got some bigger pieces that I sent home at great expense. But I do have some fun things. I like having stuff to look at. If I did a 360 of my house, first of all, you'd say, damn, you need to clean your house. But if it was clean, you would be amazed at the stuff I have. I got things hanging from the ceiling. I got steampunk flying ships. I have one with this woman that's in midair with balloons. I got a steampunk raven up there and these trees made out of wires. Yeah. I love art. I think it's really inspiring. And it's kind of funny, when you have stuff on your wall, after a while you don't see it. So every once in a while I go, damn, I haven't really paid attention to that piece in a while, and it brings a whole new joy. Your dad was an art historian. Wow. I don't know the first thing about it other than what I like. I did go to the Louvre in France when on the Bad Tour. A bunch of us went, and I was one of the punk ass Americans that you're not supposed to film anything. I went to the Sistine Chapel and got on my back on the floor and filmed it. Where'd you get the idea of the segment called Bad Groove in the Bad Tour from? I have no idea what you're talking about. The segment in one of the storytelling things I'm putting out, I've always loved that segment since we got only audio bootleg and no official release like the Wembley concert. No idea. You're going to have to private message me and explain yourself, sir. Brianna Cash. Your house is an explosion too. Yeah, well, you never know what treasures you'll find. One time I walked into Goodwill and they had a series, maybe 4 or 5 sets of brass wings. That was the coolest thing ever. So I punched holes in them and made things with wings for a month. And I do like art that's one of a kind. You know, you can get really cheap art from China that looks cool, and a lot of it's ripped off of other people's work. And it becomes cookie cutter, but there's a vibe about something that you know is a one-off that is way cooler. You took some pictures at the House of Parliament and got in trouble. You're a punk ass James is what you are. Yeah. You know what? I remember when the Michael Jackson tour went to Turkey on the history tour. Man, it was rough getting there. I forget the country we started at, but we traveled by bus across Bulgaria, and the roads were crap. I mean, there's no way we could sleep. It was in the middle of the night, and it was just like bump, bump, bump. So we were pretty worn out by the time we arrived. But when we hit the Turkish border, it was kind of scary. I mean, it was like the Gestapo there. They wanted to come on the bus, and they wanted, give me a jacket kind of thing. And I broke out my video camera as we approached the border, and the tour manager goes, "Do not do that. Do not do that. Just sit down, shut up, do what they tell you." Because, a country like that, they can throw you in jail. Come up with a reason, and you're eating dog food for a little while. It can be kind of scary out there. It's the freedoms that the Western world gets used to. A lot of people in the world do not have, and it's frightening to think about. So let's not. Okay, onward with cookies and candies. For the first time, I think I'm streaming to my personal Facebook page. And if y'all are commenting in there, I can't see it. I'm not ignoring you. It's just I haven't gotten it was funny. I was on talking with this guy on the Caster app that is allowed. I stream to this app, and it streams out to the 2 Facebooks, to where am I going? Periscope, which I haven't used in years, but I have an account, and to YouTube. Instagram, you can't do it just yet, so I'm doing that separately on my phone. I have no idea if anybody's even still there, because I hit something and it says live. God only knows. Maybe they get tired of trying to get in with me. So I was chatting with this guy, and they put a warning out. It said there's way more traffic than normal, so it might take a minute getting back to you. And I said, man, there's no tutorials. What company comes out with a piece of tech with no tutorials at all? And I was trying to figure something out. It's easy enough to figure out how to stream, but to try to combine the chats is not. And I looked at one thing in the FAQs. It didn't make any sense. It's like geek talk. And I finally got somebody. And then he would say something, and then I would answer, and it'd be 15 minutes before he got back to me again. It's like 10 windows beyond you by the time you get back. And the final thing was, I thought, okay, I'm making progress. I got all of these things ready to go. And then I asked him about the chat thing, and he goes, here's how to do it, and give me a link. And I go, great, copied the link, hit the window, he's gone. It was what I saw already that made no sense at all. And nobody's talking about it on YouTube either. Usually there's some geek that'll break it down for you. Surprised. That seems to be the story of my life. When I'm looking at tech, I get a little deeper than any of the videos that I'm seeing on YouTube. And it's like, well, yeah, I know that, and I know that, and that, and that, but what I want is this. So I'll probably end up making more tutorials myself as I figure it out. It's clean. Oh, that just went away. That's Houses of Parliament. Okay. I need to find a 3-year-old. No, I don't. There's a reason I didn't breed, sir. 2 dogs and 2 cats is all I can hang with. I couldn't ever have had the opportunities and the travel that I've had if I had kids. I'd be working at Amazon or Burger King. The Bad Groove was that part of the Bad tour, usually before Dirty Diana. Oh, only with the musicians playing, no MJ on stage, sometimes improvising and so on. That lasted like 10 minutes. It was great. Before the official release of the Wembley concert. See more, click, click, click. We only heard it on bootleg. Oh, gotcha, okay. What that was a chance to give Michael a rest for 10 minutes. I mean, the guy put out so much energy. And I think starting with the Dangerous tour, he had to get some oxygen between some songs just to be able to keep going. So they came up with the groove, and I don't think I even played on that. I think that's when I was getting dressed for Beat It. So on the Bad tour, that was John Clark, Greg Fillinganes, just wonderful musicians. Ricky Lawson. On the Bad tour, it was Rory Kaplan, Chris Correll, and keys. And Chris Correll ran the synclavier. It's amazing the gear that was taken out at that time and how these giant pieces of equipment are now something you could put in your pocket. 3-year-olds are the best techs. Yeah. Oh, okay. I got it. That's making sense. Yeah. I know a lot of people are getting their kids to show them how anything works. There's Facebook. And now, once all the parents figure out how Facebook works, the kids don't even want to be on Facebook because it's like old people's social media. How much choreography did I have to learn? Fortunately, very little, because I sucked at it. Michael had Eddie Garcia, that had jumped on earlier, was one of the dancers that tried to help me with my moves and working day and night. And all that was facing this way, moving your shoulders, and then facing the other way, moving your shoulders. And apparently I didn't have enough grace or something. It's pretty simple. I got it. But the bass player, Don Boyette, and John Clark worked out some moves back for our section too, because it was John, me, and then Don. They worked out some moves together, and apparently I didn't cut that either. And so they asked me not to try, which I was happy to oblige, because it's all I can do to just play guitar. I finally got to the point where sometimes I can play and talk at the same time. But it was a single focus where that's all that's going to happen. I'm going to play or talk. If I start talking, when I play, my hands will fall off the neck. Yeah, the choreography is not for me. I was in a band called The Immigrants that we were trying to launch, I think after the Bad tour or Danger, I don't know. One of them tours with the big hair. And we did do a Morris Day kind of move. That I could handle that. Very, very simple moves. That's about all we did. But I'm better at the staging where they say, like for Michael Jackson, when we did, was it Black or White? There was staging, so at a certain part of the song, you would run to jump on the fan. So the fan would blow the hair up and blow all kinds of dirt and crap in my eyes. You know, I see a countdown to Instagram. Apparently, they don't like you going forever. So it's going to end in 30 seconds. I will go back and look at your texts and see if I can figure out how to reply, because everything's click, click, click. Damn it. How do I get to what I want? So anybody that's on Instagram hanging out, thank you so much. You will disappear in about 17 seconds now. And I'm going to be wrapping this up pretty quick too, because I think an hour of straight talking is, I mean, on YouTube videos, people don't last 5 minutes. So if anybody lasted this whole hour, I'd be surprised. My favorite song to play with Jeff Beck. You know, I really liked playing Blue Wind because it was designed as an opportunity for us to trade solos. So that was really fun. I enjoyed also playing Where Were You, because it's a gorgeous song, and I just did synth pads for that and let him go off with his angelic guitar voice. Well, this is cool. It's like a community. I see a lot of the same people coming in every week. Tell your friends. Yeah, and shit. You know, there's a British comedy, like Reeves and Mortimer, Little Britain. Yeah, I might have told this story before, but I remember this one thing where it's basically two guys that do all the characters, and there's one where they dress in drag, and this one guy is trying to convince people that he's a woman, and it's really obvious that he's a guy. And he comes into a bar, and he's talking to the other guy that's a really macho dude, and he tries to chat her up, as they say in the UK. You're gonna chat her up, and it starts asking, what do you like to do? And he'd go, the drag queen would go, oh, you know, I like to do lady things like knitting and going to the store and shit. And he'd end everything like that, and it would just blow his cover. David Walliams, yeah. And on Reeves and Mortimer, the other guy played George Doors, and I keep forgetting his name, but he was also in Alice in Wonderland. He played the twins. And I got his audiobook on his life, and it's really fascinating. Love it. In shit. All right, y'all. It's probably going to take me 10 uncomfortable minutes to shut down each of these platforms. If there's any last questions, I'm going to be fiddling for a minute. So Instagram Live is done. It says 19 people are following right now, but it said it wasn't live. So don't lie to me, fake news, social media. I think that's, you know, if I just flip that app out of the way, poof, it's gone. Now the others, I can't even remember how many I have up now. I have to find window number, Matt Lucas. Yeah, he's got 2 biographies out now because he's had such a large life, I guess. So I think what I have to do is go to the Caster app. Jesus, I literally have 6 windows open. I got YouTube, 2 Facebook pages. Here's Caster, and then OBS Streaming Studio. It's just kind of crazy. Okay, I'm going to toggle. There is a toggle. I can toggle them all off at the same time. So, anybody that's left, I'm going to tell you, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to put that teaser of the song that Roman Miroshnichenko and I have put out that's on Bandcamp with a link to go buy it should you choose. And I want to encourage everybody, please tell your friends and tell yourselves to go to my YouTube channel and just go to it. Before you go to bed, put it on the first of a playlist and let it go through the whole playlist as you go to sleep so I can get viewing hours. It's like, I got to get to summer camp. Okay, adios, y'all. Gracias. Catch you next Tuesday.